at the system that creates an Academy Award for being one of the most negative and vile human beings on the face of this earth.
That's right.
And rewards that system over and over again. And we are, oh, you know, when he got that Academy Award, yay. Not even looking at the dynamics. Brother Morrell says we're brainwashed. I think we're more than brainwashed, but that's another story. And so then our image gets taken, made into Tiffany's. This is one of the most expensive jewelry sets now. It's out of Africa. Each one of these pieces start at $10,000. But it's your image. Everybody wants your image but you. And so now you have to be chic and rich to have your image. Interesting. And that's your image too. That's what we see as our fashion statement. This is their fashion statement. This is our fashion statement. Can I get a witness? And so part of the issue has been, you know, we've talked about this before. How have we responded to all of this? But we got people who don't even believe slavery existed. They don't even want to talk about it. You can't resolve anything that you don't discuss. So we're in denial. And we have disbelief. And we have anger. We'll talk about all of these. We have passivity, where we just do nothing. We have ignorance, which is the bulk of us. And we have acceptance. So we just go along to get along. And of course there's that helplessness profile, that it doesn't matter what we do, it's not going to make any difference. And so we just leave it to the Lord. Mercy. You leaving it to the Lord, and look what the Lord is doing.
Come on.
I just left Atlanta. I was invited by another church to talk about sex abuse in the church. In America, of course, you're innocent until proven guilty. Hello. But let me just talk about it for a second. Because the reality is that we as a people are always subjugated and subject to the belief that the church will be our salvation. And so the reality has been that we are blind. We turn a blind eye when it comes to what is happening within our system. We all know that from the Dante Stokes case right here in Baltimore. And so part of the issue is that's the exoteric issue. It's a sad travesty. It's a travesty that I'm glad came to the front, regardless of what the outcome people now know. And as I say, the person is innocent until proven guilty. And so, but what we don't hear about is the underlying dynamics. How did you come to know about this in the first place? Guess what? When these churches came out in support of the current president, Mr. Obama, there was an investigation then waged by certain regulatory agencies to see whether or not they were in violation of the 501c3, church and politics. These mega churches run primarily by African Americans were advised and asked to turn over their financial records. Guess who didn't do it? Guess who didn't do it? And neither did he. And so it is some of our belief that this thing would have never come to the forefront had it not been about the money. Are you all with me now? You know, so it's about the money. And because nobody cares about what happens to little black boys.
That's right.
Let's get real here. It was about some other agenda. And hey, by the way, this happened to be a great fallout, because it's a great public relations campaign if it wasn't for the travesty of our children. Are you all with me now?
Yes.
And so it's not just the Catholic Church. And then recently, this is Bishop Arnold out of Little Rock, my hometown. Just last week, well, week before last, He stepped down with the largest church in Little Rock. The absolute, Little Rock is not a big state. I mean, Arkansas is not a big state. He has 7,000 members of his church. It's the biggest church in Arkansas, black or white. He had to step down. Why? Because he had an affair with one of the women in the church, whose husband was on the deacon board, who hired a private investigator who followed them around and found out and went to the pastor the day before and said, I'm going to bring it up tomorrow in church. So he stepped down. But guess what the fallout was? While he was investigating who was sleeping with his wife, he found out that the preacher's wife was sleeping with one of the other deacons.
Amen.
This is deep, y'all. This thing, and this is who you listening to in terms of what that reality is. Are you all with me?
Wow.
Yeah, cause, and then we've got this other issue where people are trying to make a living, and his manager was the one that sexually abused him. So all of our children are exposed to things that should not be for children. And people in America care more for dogs
That's right.
than they do for our children.
That's right.
And so now we got the Tea Party.
Uh-oh.
Mercy. They want to take us back to the good old days. And the Tea Party scares the living daylights out of me. And you should be afraid of them too. Because if the Tea Party has their way, you're going to be back in slavery again.
Hey.
Make no mistake, that's the agenda. But people are sophisticated now. And they don't claim, they don't say white versus black. They now claim liberal versus conservatives. Democrats versus Republicans. It's them and us, y'all. Let's just be realistic. And so they're banking on the fact that we don't care enough to do anything about it. And so these are the good old boys requesting the good old days. But this is what the good old boys did the last snow in Washington, D.C. They put an effigy up, hanging, and had a sign in front of it that said Obama. This is what they do. This is what you're going to. And then this is a magazine that is in the white right. And look at what you're looking at. You're looking through the barrel of a gun, people. What kind of subtle information is going there? You see what I'm saying? Do you all follow me? And this is going to be found on the internet. These things, the government says there is a resurgence of white supremacist websites unlike there has ever been in the history of the United States of America.
That's right.
Excuse me, the United Snakes of America.
Come on.